David, hey, congratulations on Monuments.
Thanks, Gig. It's a really good movie, and I'm really happy that it's getting out to the world now, and audiences are getting to share this movie.
That is terrific to hear. Do you oftentimes do a lot of romantic comedies like this?
I mean, I would love to. I would love to. I mean, it's a part of an actor's journey that you're gonna dabble in a bunch of different types of storytelling, and some are more fun than others, and I don't know. I think if I'm surrounded with the right people, it really, yeah, it just really is a lot of fun. So it's a genre that I would love to do time and time again.
That is great. So, what initially attracted you to a project like Monuments for you?
Yeah, well, it starts with the script. It starts with the story. It starts with how you think you fit into this story. And sometimes you'll read a script and you might really like the story, but you may not be the right fit. And it's a hard thing to understand and to realize and be true to. But not every actor is the right person for every story. But I felt like when I read this story, when I read the script, I was the right person. And in talking with Jack, the director, he agreed with me, and we had the same sentiment. We're like, yeah, we both want me to help you tell this story. So yeah, once I read the script and once I met Jack and kind of saw his vision and had dialogue with him and some of his personal life and how this story was very similar. Well, I mean, there were elements of it that kind of related to him and his life and how he dealt with loss. I was like, yeah, well, I gotta do this.
So, was the character Ted just relatable to you, or was just more like you said, you know what, I could play a comedic character like this?
I don't know. I think I liked him. But I'll read scripts where I hate the guy, but it's like, oh, that would be a challenging role to play. That would be I think it's always about finding the human being, and I don't know. I wouldn't say that I'm very similar to Ted. Ted was real smart. Ted was a college professor. Ted was an expert in Egyptian hieroglyphs. David. I get paid to say words that somebody else wrote for me, so I'm not that smart. But I love good movies, and to have the opportunity to tell stories for a living and be in movies that will be seen around the world. It just creates such a good feeling inside me. So yeah, I mean, we're alike in the fact that we deal with grief and we deal with loss, but I would say there's probably more differences than there were similarities between me and Ted. But I feel like I found the person in that story, and I feel like I kind of became that person for a month and a half.
You're so humble. You said you sell yourself short. I know you went to college because you sound like it. So
I did. Yeah, I went to college. I didn't do so hot, but I did go.
So, what was your experience like doing a road trip movie in the Midwest? I guess people call it Midwest. To me, Illinois is not quite the Midwest, but
Sure. Yeah. Well, I had never really experienced Chicago and its suburbs like that before, so it was great. It was great. It was any place can be good or bad, kind of depending on the people you surround yourself with, and I was really fortunate with the cast and the crew that Jack, surrounded us with. Being that, I mean, the best part was, going to all these little like small motels and stuff, and like bouncing from hotel room to hotel room, and like Marguerite stopping by and us having lunch together on, the little coffee table there, or like us going to visit Javi in his room and like watching the election results. Like there's just like such a, I don't know, there's just such a cool, I guess, experience to have when you really let yourself kind of embody a role and then embrace the people around you and just the city that you're in, just kind of soaking up the vibes that the city brings.
Is that the life of an actor, spending a lot of time in your hotel rooms?
It is. It really, either that or your trailers. And that's what's also cool about our jobs. Like we also get to tell stories about people that we don't know. Like I didn't know Ted. I didn't know his journey. I know what it's like to lose somebody, but I don't know anybody that has grieved the way that Ted grieved. And so it's cool to step inside those shoes and to kind of live life from that point of view for a couple months.
Well, then let's talk about some of your castmates, because it's the pleasure is always like meeting new people to work with them. Let's start with Marguerite. What was it like working with her? I know she's been around the industry for quite some time.
She has been, and she had so much to offer, and she was so smart and so loving and so nurturing and patient. And we kind of came from a different ideas of what we thought this story was, and she really kind of opened my eyes. Like there's not really a right or wrong when it comes to telling a story. There's not really a right or wrong when it comes to seeing a piece of art. It's just like, what does that piece of art do to you, and how does it move you, and how does it speak to you? And it spoke to her in a different way than it spoke to me, and she kind of helped mold Ted's point of view and how I saw Ted. And I was just so grateful for her. She's so lovely and such a kind person, and she a lot of time when you go from set to set, like you make friends, you become really good friends with people really fast, and then a lot of times you never see them again. She's obviously the person who has become a really good friend of mine, and we see each other quite a bit.
That is great.
Yeah.
Now Javier, your nemesis in the film, he is hilarious. Your interaction with him is very funny too. How do you?
That's his first movie too. Like
really,
he's been doing Broadway for 15 years in New York. Like he did Hamilton for 3 years on Broadway. Like this was his first movie, and I was astounded. Like he brought it from the very first day when we did a table read. I'd never met the guy before, and he brought it from day one till the very, very end. And also just another kind soul, a sensitive, just kind, thoughtful person. Which is the exact opposite of how we see Howell. Like even in reading the script, I did not picture Javi as the guy, but then as soon as I heard him read it, I'm like, oh my gosh, of course he's the guy. And again, he's just a great dude, and very warm and kind of. When I was visiting New York, he was the first phone call that I made. He caught the train all the way up from the north part of New York all the way to like downtown, and like hung out with me. Like he's just a great dude.
How many times was it for him, because in a film like this, how many times he had to pull those punches to make sure to not hit you?
Yeah, I mean that's the thing, he's a pro. He's been doing this on stage since he was a teenager, and so yeah, he's a pro, and our chemistry, I think, is really, really visible in the film. When we go from hating each other to really kind of caring for each other. It was a really special bond that we created, both in the movie, Hal and Ted, and also outside the movie with David and Javi.
Well, certainly, I hope his career takes off. A lot of people from Hamilton's career takes off. That's
yeah. Yeah.
Now, of course, a character in the film that you interacted with was the truck. What was it like driving that truck, and how many times did it break down?
Awesome. You know what? It actually broke down, I think the day of or the day after they got the last shot. Like, so after we were done, they shot some B-roll footage, and I think even some drone footage, which is at the beginning of the movie, of the truck. And it was such a great find. Like they bought the truck for the film, obviously, and it was either the day of or the day after they shot the final shot with the truck. It died. So it was awesome. I mean, anytime you actually get to do driving in a movie, and crazy driving, it's great, because you can't do that in real life. Like you can't peel out and I mean you can, but it's obviously it can be really dangerous and unsafe and illegal. But when you're protected by a movie set, and people are like, we have this whole street locked down, you're able to do this. It was fun. It was really fun. Had a good engine in it.
That is good. Of course, you had to expand your skills into dancing too. How was that? How much did you rehearse for that?
It was terrifying. It was terrifying because you know, we started choreographing that dance just a few days before we started to shoot it. And I thought it was going to be like just bits and pieces, but it was like a whole song with an entire like backup dancers, singers, performers. I had no clue that there was this whole, I didn't know that there were going to be 20 other people like coordinating the dance with us. I thought it was just going to be the two of us. And then they had mentioned, you know, they have these people and these people. I'm like, wait, what? So it's not just going to be me and her. Like we have this whole room of people. Oh, and not only are they dancing, they're seeing me try to dance. It was challenging at first, but once I found a little bit of confidence and once, you know, I got the first 3 or 4 8 counts down, I was like, yeah, this ain't so bad.
Well, one more thing before I let you go, because, you know, this being an indie film, and I know actors give them their all, you know, their sacrifice in the name of art. Tell me about running into that river, because you are crazy, because that river looks cold.
It was freezing. It was freezing cold. I mean, it was, you know, it's the melted snow that forms that river. And it's just, I didn't expect it to be that cold. And not only did I not expect it to be that cold, I didn't expect to have to do it as many times as I did it. And I also didn't expect the wetsuit that I had underneath my clothes. I also didn't expect to only have one. So I thought that there were going to be like 5 of them. And I put a new warm wetsuit on, and then I go back in and I would just maybe walk in the water and maybe run. But this water was like, it was moving. And so, you know, after 4 or 5 takes, I'm like, I'm freezing. I can't really move. Like they have a hair dryer, like blowing my feet. Like, and then I see a guy who looks just like me, who's about my same size. And I'm like, he's wearing the same shirt as, who is that? And they're like, oh, that's your stunt guy. And I'm like, what? Why is he not doing this? So after about 5 or 6 takes, I was like, hey, if we don't get it on this next one, let's send him in. And I was like, wait, why didn't we do that after take 1? It was freezing.
That is a terrific story, David.
Yeah.
Well, hey, it's a pleasure carrying this conversation with you. I know you're a very good conversationalist. I can't wait to speak to you again on your next project, hopefully.
Yeah, definitely. We'll keep in touch, and I look forward to talking with you again.
Hey, not a problem. Thanks very much.
All right, my pleasure, Gig. Have a good day.